All right, Nick. Not not a good night. Not a great night. It could change. There are 3 outs left. It's only 5 runs. It feels like 15. I don't know why. I really don't know why either. Like I don't. It's been a long day. There's that. Then there's just the pessimistic things that you see on X.com, and then on top of that, you just see some basic stuff that you think probably shouldn't happen, and then if we're being honest, if we didn't have a show tonight, I think these are one of the nights where I would have just turned the game off in like the 9th, went to bed, woke up the next day just to double check to make sure they didn't come back and win, but then felt like it was a new day.
Yeah. I definitely would have shut off the internet if I didn't have to do it.
Yeah. and listen, I think that there's reasonable frustration, but at the same time, I mean, I guess we should save some. I'll save some of this for the show. Is it bad of me, chat? I didn't even turn the game on. I that's where I'm at right now. I don't even have the game on. So. Maybe that's what some of it is too, if we're being honest, right, chat? Like some of it's just like last night coupled into tonight. Maybe that makes it feel a little more gross than it really is, but maybe it's you add in the Brewers, you have some scar tissue from the Brewers, you mix all that together, and you get the feeling of hopelessness in a 7-2 game on April 10th, and you're 500 for the season. Am I going to overreact? No, I don't think so. I'm just not doing it. I thought about doing it. I'm not doing it. Maybe one would argue I don't have the energy tonight to do it. I don't know what happened. What could be so bad?
The CES just missed one. That would have been nice.
What happened?
A deep drive to center field.
Good. I'm glad we got a deep drive of the day.
We got a deep drive of the day today. 106 off the bat.
Where did it land?
397. That's tough.
So he's basically right in front of the track.
Yep.
That's a good sign, though. He's starting to see the ball a little bit better.
And he walked.
And he walked. Listen, I'm not. What do you say? It's just tough, okay? It's tough. It's tough. You know what it feels like? It just feels like one of those days where just nothing's going right for you. You get stopped by every red light on the way to work. You stub your toe in the morning. You then drop your coffee in the middle of getting out of the car, and you're just like, all right, this is the way it's gonna go. So. Yeah,
and then after all that, you gotta face old Wade Miley after a rain delay.
Yeah, it rains all day.
It
rains all day, and then you face a guy that you cut to 3 years ago. I don't even remember how long it's been. Hell, with this franchise thought the guy was a bum how long ago, and he's out here throwing no hitters. I don't know.
I don't think there's a pitcher in baseball you'd want to see after a long rain.
Maybe this is what you're supposed to wear for today. I don't know.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Game's over, Trace.
These things are
Start a show.
These things are impressive,
Start a show.
Nick. You ever put these on? You can't see anything. All right. Hey, when you say you're going to do them all, you do them all. And tonight, this is what you call bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel, chat. We are digging through all the leftovers tonight. But we got to do a show. Which means one thing. I got to dig through here and figure out where to start this intro, which I believe I know exactly where to start it now. We'll be back Right after this, it's time to do a show.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Rants are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first run ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. We come to you on a losing edition of Chatterbox Reds. They fall to the Brewers 7-2. What quite frankly can't be summed up in any other way than a disgusting game. A disgusting game, maybe even lump in a disgusting day. If you had something positive happen in your life today, by all means, just remember that and move on if you're a Reds fan, because otherwise it could possibly ruin it. Nick, I'd ask you how you're doing, but I already know the answer to that. Anything you want to add before we get into this box score recap?
No, but I need you to buy me about 16 more seconds.
Okay, I'll buy you 16 more seconds.
Actually, you know what?
You're fine. You're fine. Your microphone is all out of sync. But you know what? I think for tonight, you should just keep it the same. Like, that's par for the course. That's a perfect way to sum up Reds baseball on April 10th, 2024. Box score recap. Let's see it.
Well, that's great. I upgraded the internet today, so great to see that. I'm going to call them out now. I mean, I upgraded, so this is all on Spectrum. You can send them hate messages. Do whatever you need to do, folks. All right, I don't really have much of a box score recap. Hunter Green, 6 innings, gave up 6 runs. Only walked 1, struck out 9. Right off the bat, it was a struggle. Walked the very first batter of the game, Churio, the Brewers' top prospect. It was only walk of the game, and then Christian Yelich got him for a home run. Reds were just kind of out of this one from the get-go. Elly Cruz did stay hot. He hit his third home run of the season, 2 for 3 tonight. Christian Encarnacion Strand walked for the first time this year. But yeah, that's about all I got tonight, Trace.
That's more than fair. Listen, we can overreact. And let's be honest here. When you do a show like this, it's very tempting to overreact. It's very easy to get into the weeds. It's hard to kind of look at it from a 30,000 feet perspective, whatever the cliche terms. And I am doing my very best, Nick, to just say, you know what? It's super early in the season. Would you rather have this Reds team playing their best ball towards the end of the season or playing their best ball right now? We all know what that answer would be, but there is some semblance of what I would call lack of fundamentals, which we'll get into here in just a minute, and lack of preparation. I don't know, again, if I'm overreacting in saying that, but before we get into all that, we have, as always, the deep drive of the day, and that is sponsored by DSC. And who could it possibly be other than Elly De La Cruz? So shout out to Elly De La Cruz. He had an exit velo of 110.4, 379 feet off the bat. That would make the game Milwaukee 6, Cincinnati 2. And the most disappointing part of that, quite frankly, if we're being honest, is that could have given us a 2-run ball game if somebody else would have known how to run the bases. But we won't get into that because DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodities and our good friend John. And you know what? We'll start with Hunter Green, but I just want to mention, obviously, the home run by Elly. I just want to say it on the forefront. I know everyone's going to scream and yell about how, if it had that home run, it would have made it a 2-run game. Candelario made the third out of third. To be fair, just want to be fair here. He's not hitting left-handed, okay? There's no chance in the world they're gonna bring out Miley to allow him to face a right-handed pitcher to then hit a home run. That wasn't going to happen. Now, he could have hit a home run right-handed, to be fair, but I just want that to be known.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. The Brewers, no chance they would have left Miley in, but when the bases are empty, you say, all right, wait, this was his first start coming off of the IL, first start of the season. He only threw like 55 pitches in his one rehab start, so yeah, I mean that was kind of the time to pull him. But yeah, we'll get into the fundamentals here in a second. I don't know, what was your overall thoughts on Hunter Green?
I don't make too much of it yet. I think that Hunter Green, unfortunately, though, is going to have his what we'd call his above average stuff to be effective. That's the only concern I take away. Can Hunter Green survive a baseball game if he doesn't have his quote unquote best stuff, or we don't even need to say his best stuff, just like average stuff? And I think the answer, unfortunately, is kind of in a situation where probably not, which is disappointing. And I know that people are going to point towards the pitch availability of what he throws, and it's going to end up being fastball, slider. He needs, and this has been talked about so many times, Nick, that I don't know how many more times you can talk about it before you're just blue in the face. But can he develop a third pitch or not? I don't know. Can he develop some type of ability to locate maybe more times than not? Because the slider, sometimes it just doesn't slide. It hangs and it's floating and it's spinning right down the middle, and it gets hit. And then unfortunately, if he's not able to locate his slider, then he's left with a fastball that if you pitch in the big leagues, we all understand that if you got one pitch, it probably isn't going to work out. And unfortunately tonight for Hunter, it didn't quite work out. And I know that I don't want to prelude here. I know the expected batting average is what it is. I'd like to get it. I don't want to get into the weeds of that, but at the same time, it's like, he did give up 2 runs on a ball that was to India's left that he was shifted over to the middle. Probably not a hit. If he's not as shifted, either one, he's not shifted over as far, or 2, India has a little more range. But I'm not going to get on India tonight. It's not about that. Like, at the end of the day, this whole team needs to be better. I'm not going to try to single anybody out specifically.
Yeah, Hunter Green was not great tonight by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he was 6 earned runs bad. That's maybe, I guess, where I would start. Looking at his pitch mix tonight, through 105 pitches, 54 were four-seam fastball, 40 were slider, 7 curveball, 4 splitter. The splitter, he couldn't none of them were strikes. They were all out of the zone. I'm thinking anyone to chase him, so clearly I don't think he had a good feel for that pitch. And if you don't have a feel for the pitch and you can't throw it for a strike, it's not really going to do a whole lot. So I think if he's able to locate that splitter, I think it's able to take him to another level. The 2 things that really, I guess, would irk me about Hunter's start tonight would have been walking the very first batter of the game, but it was his only walk of the entire game, so it's hard to be too upset about that. And then him not covering home plate on the ball that Steer overthrew. I don't think I saw a replay of that. I don't know if he was frustrated just kind of the way things were going early, or if it was just situation of mental error. I don't really know, but I mean, those are the things that I think would be, more of, hey, you got to clean those up more than necessarily the way he's pitching or anything like that. The one positive, though, looking at Hunter Green, the first start of the year, he walked 4 batters. Last 2 starts, he's only walked 1 in each of those starts. So that's a sign of progress. I know people don't want to hear it, but still a very, very young pitcher. He's younger than Andrew Abbott, and who's drafted in 2017, but it takes time for pitchers to develop in the big leagues. And for some reason, it just feels like the Brewers they have his number, and hopefully the next time he faces him, he can change that narrative a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the only pushback that I think is well deserved or rightfully deserved with the young statement or the youth statement in general moving forward is just trying to figure out how many years you have left of service control. And he signed a contract that pretty much got him out of arbitration years. And I understand that maybe this doesn't apply to Hunter Green per se, but when you bring a guy up as young as you do with Hunter or as young as you do with Elly, yeah, they might only be 22, but you only get them for how many more years? 5 years. So they have to, at some point, maybe you give them a year or so. I'm not suggesting they have to come up as rookies and light it up right away, but at the same time, the last thing that I would like to do or desire as a Reds fan is to bring guys up and then they're on the job learning for 2-3 years at the big league level, and then by the time they figure it all out, well, you either have to pay them or they're going to leave, or you have to trade them because you can't afford to keep them, which obviously is a whole Major League Baseball issue in and of itself. But I'm really not really going to go down that path tonight with Hunter, and I don't think we should. I think at the end of the day, I still feel okay about this team. I do have concerns with, as we've talked about at the beginning, with the injuries. This stuff's going to catch up to us. It's going to catch up to us. You can say whatever you want. You got Espinal playing second base. Candelario, with all due respect, is not really produced at anywhere near the level that he's going to have to produce for this team to be competitive. The good news is that you'd like to think that will turn itself around. You go all the way back. You date back to last year with Candelario. He obviously struggled towards the end of the year with the Cubs. He kind of rolls that into this year. I don't know how much longer you give him before you really start to have major concerns, but I'm not sounding the alarm yet. But we're getting close on some of these guys. CES, you mentioned it. Maybe had some decent at-bats tonight, but I don't know. The whole youth thing, Nick, at some point, these guys have got to find a way to start producing so we can capitalize while we have them, for lack of a better term. So,
yeah, CES tonight did finally get his first walk of the year. Also, didn't have anything to show for it, but had 2 hard hit balls, including that one in the ninth that hit 106 off the bat. 397 feet. So I'm more confident. Are you more confident in CES than Candelario at this point? I probably am.
I don't know, man. I look at one of them the same. They both look lost at times. I do think CES is actually starting to have a little bit better at bats. Candelario, I don't know. I think my gut says he's pressing, if we're being honest. My gut says he's pressing, but that's part of baseball, so you got to fight through it. I just don't know if it's a new team. He wants to make a quick, immediate impact. He knows he knows what he got paid. He knows what he's expected to do. I'll say this about Candelario. If I'm allowed to say something nice about a guy when I don't want to, there's some leadership traits there. There's some leadership qualities that he has, that he possesses. He's a vibe guy. I can tell he wants to rally the troops. So I think if he starts playing well, that will elevate, I think, the rest of the guys pretty considerable amount. But he's got to start playing well, and we shall find out. Let's get into the fundamentals, Nick. You had mentioned it with Hunter Green to kind of segue into that off of Hunter Green. Hunter Green's the only person that will know, unless maybe there's a reporter after the game that wants to ask him and he's honest about it. I don't know if it was just a mental mistake where he just kind of forgot that he needed to back up, or maybe he was just upset that he gave up the hit in the first place. But you know what? They both add up in the same regard. Whether you accidentally got in a car accident or you purposely hit somebody, guess what? You got in a car accident. He was standing in the middle of the field no matter what happened, and that can't happen. So David Bell's a guy that I've kind of gotten upset with about him. He just doesn't show guys up, and that's okay, by the way. That's more than fine. It's just that I pray to God that there's some accountability on the back end of this. That when you go back into the clubhouse and you leave the facility, or when I say leave the facility, you get out of the public eye, there's a conversation that gets had. And there's like, hey, this is an expectation that we do these things, and the reason we do these things is because ultimately all those little things, they add up to a big thing, and we all know that. You hear people talk about that. But as much as they want to preach hustling, they want to preach running the bases with reckless abandon, and they want to preach playing the game hard the right way and all those things, well, the basic fundamentals of backing up home plate after you give up a hit so 2 guys can't advance on a Spencer Steer overthrow, and Candelario running himself into the third out when you're down 5 runs with a guy coming up to the plate that can make it a 2-run game. And oddly enough, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, he could have made it a 2-run game. He did hit a home run the very next inning. To be fair, though, there's a big asterisk there. I don't know if it would have been the same situation. Just saying all that, it needs to get cleaned up. And that was that's the tweet that I put out about Elly, Nick, as I ramble on here, was more about the fundamentals than it was of my disdain for Elly and the player. It's like, let's do things the right way. And if you're not going to do things the right way, then there's consequences. And I hope that's happening behind closed doors at least.
Yeah, I know there was an interview with Jonathan India where he talked about David Bell's managing style and said that, they'll get on him, but he does it in a one-on-one setting after the game. So I have to take India's word for it that he does hold them accountable. It's not his style to do that in person. And there's not really a whole lot of managers around baseball that really are that style anymore. The days of Lou Piniella, those type of managers, that's long gone. That's just not the way baseball is, not the way most sports are really anymore. You even look at like college basketball. It's not that way.
Outside the guy that's won back-to-back national championships, to be fair, that has the best team in the country. Besides him, though, outside of that guy that does all those things, everyone else probably doesn't do it. But
does he actually get on his players, or is it just the Rants? I don't
know, man. I'm pretty sure Dan Hurley's getting on his player. Now, to be fair, I'm not trying to be that guy. To be fair, I mean, I'm sure that's not the only reason as to why they win. But I had to bring it up, Nick. I had to bring it up.
Maybe David Bell needs to do that. David Bell's a guy who goes after the umpires, and maybe if you go a little harder at the umpires, it gives you more leash to go after your players because they're like, well, he didn't go as hard as that guy did, kind of like Dan Hurley does. Maybe that's how he gets away with it.
Perhaps, who knows? We shall find out. But you got a good point. You make a very good point.
But I mean, look, the fundamentals. It's brutal. It's the worst thing to watch from a baseball team. I know a lot of people really get upset at like strikeouts. That doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people get upset at like the start from Hunter Green tonight where he gives up a few. That doesn't really bother me. But bad defense. It's brutal, and this has been a problem from this franchise for far too long. What else you say other than, Marte, McLean, and Friedl, 3 of your best defenders. It's like every night you feel that on the defensive side more than the offensive side. It's not even close in my opinion.
I 100% agree. It's a trickle-down effect too. Like, I mean, just the concept that I don't know, man. It's so hard to watch at times.
It's almost like the trickle-down effect. It's almost like when you lose your closer and then you have this guy pitching in this spot and you have this guy pitching. It's like that with the Reds defense. And
I don't know how you fix it. That's the one thing, though. Everyone's going to be like you're going to scream and yell and get mad. And I'm with you. I mean, listen, there's nothing worse than in the 6th inning tonight, I literally just want to turn the TV off and be done with the Reds and just be like, all right, I'll wake up tomorrow. Maybe I'll feel better because I'm just tired of watching this. And I think it's honestly at this point, there's scar tissue here that's the reason why. One, you got a rain delay. You wait the rain delay out. They finally play, and they're playing the Brewers. You're trying to make sure that maybe you can win the series. Worst case scenario, obviously, maybe split. And then you watch the game, and it's like the Brewers do all the little things right. And the Brewers, you think, don't have anywhere near the talent level that the Reds have. But yet for 2 years, they've just completely, it's late at night, I'm going to say it, like they've kicked their ass. They've just kicked their ass. And it's just frustrating to watch the Brewers continue to make play after play in the field. And then you watch the Reds, and it's like routine plays. And I'm not going to compare them to a Little League team, but like, let's face it, like that ball to Spencer Steer when he overthrew Luke Maley's tripping over his cleats, Hunter Green standing 5 feet from the mound. The Brewers are just running the bases at will. It's tough watch. So it is what it is. Hopefully they clean it up. And it's again it's April 10th. Okay, the Reds are 500, and I know what people are going to say, and they're kind of right, Nick. They're kind of right. This was the time or the month. We had about a month here, and we're slowly running out of that month to try to stockpile a decent record to when we get into May when we play some really good teams. But I'll say this. Last year we did the same stuff. We talked about, oh, look how tough this month is, and then look at the final month. We played almost better against all the teams that we weren't supposed to beat. So I'm not going to sit here and declare the season dead because we have a tough schedule coming up. But they have a point. The pessimistic crowd has a little bit of a point.
And the Brewers too, it also like feels worse because it's not like you're getting beat by the Dodgers lineup. Like you're getting beat by a team that's like smoking beers. Like half these guys are not even average big league hitters.
No.
But to the Brewers' credit, they have a style and they stick to it. Their style is pitching well. They play great defense. They find a couple, under the radar hitters and undervalued hitters, and they keep turning it out and winning. I don't know. It's just, the Brewers, they're just a hard team to figure out because this year especially, man, they just do not feel like they're even as good as the teams that from previous years that already don't feel as good on paper as they end up being. So I don't know. It'd be nice just to get a win tomorrow, get them out of town, and I think we could all take a deep breath and say, hey, we'll see them again down the road.
And that's the beautiful thing about tomorrow too, is they could find a way to scratch out a win, and it feels disgusting. The Brewers series feels like a disgusting mess, and you split. I feel like Nick's going to come on the podcast tomorrow night and be tomorrow evening and be like, if I would have told you that they were going to split with the Brewers, we'd all been like, all right, that's probably about what would have happened. Yeah, we've done this too long already to know, but that's probably what's going to happen. And you know what? I'm here for it. Elly De La Cruz, he's you know what's sad about some of this? I thought about this tonight. Had a pretty damn good game tonight. You know how many people care? You know how many people are going to give him credit for it? Not many. Now, I will say his statistics obviously add up, but he hits a home run and what many people would call a meaningless home run. They used to give Joey Votto the same type of lip about it. Like, oh, yeah, Joey Votto, look at him. He's hitting home runs when it doesn't matter. It's like, dude, you're playing the game, man. You're playing the game. It all adds up. Elly, at least at this point right now, he looks like he's about to maybe get hot. Hopefully I don't jinx it, but that seems like that's the sentiment moving forward here.
Just got this from my friend Reds in 4.
Yeah.
Elly hasn't struck out in 10 consecutive plate appearances.
Good job, guys. Really nice. You and Reds in 4. All right. I mean, now you're on the hot seat. I'm just gonna let you know. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Super tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, come on. You guys here to hear first. I know that some people don't believe in jinxes. But boy, if you're a jinx kind of guy, that is, I mean, what are we doing? Go ahead.
And look, it's good to see to see Elly.
Nice stat, Nick. I like that one.
I thought it was a good stat. Sorry. I won't bring good stats. I don't know. I don't know. Look, it's good to see Elly playing well. I mean, he's had several really good games in a row. I mean, this is kind of what you expect, and I'll just caution people: there's going to be another roller coaster dip.
Yeah,
it's going to be coming soon at some point. That's just the kind of player he's going to be this year. So you got to ride the waves. I think it's probably going to be the same with Hunter Green, although I think it should be a little higher expectations for his level of consistency throughout the year. But that's just what you're going to get with young players that are very toolsy. That a large portion of their game in Hunter Green's case is striking out a ton of batters. In Elly De La Cruz's case, it's hitting the ball 2 miles out of the ballpark. With that comes some of the downside of in like Hunter Green's case, giving up some hard contact, giving up some home runs. I think Justin Verlander led the league in home runs allowed 2 years ago and was still like one of the best pitchers in the sport. With Elly De La Cruz's case, it's going to come with a lot of strikeouts. That's just the players that they are, and you just got to ride the waves and hope there's a lot more high waves than there are, and I believe there will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Elly's certainly got some rough edges to him right now that need to get polished out, but the beautiful thing is from time to time that he shines as bright as anybody, and we've said this all along. Elly's more than capable of carrying this team, and I'm all for it at this point because you know what? Spencer Steer, I love Spencer Steer, but Spencer Steer is going to come back down to earth, everybody. He can't carry this team all year long. Guess who's going to have to figure it out? It's going to have to be CES. It's going to have to be Candelario. It's going to have to be maybe Elly gets hot. It's going to have to be a team effort because Spencer Steer, for all intents and purposes, has put this team on his back offensively for the first, what I call it, 10 games of the season. But let's face it, we also know that's not going to last much longer. It's time for somebody to step up. Speaking of stepping up, Game Time. Don't know if you know about them, but they are a ticketing sponsor of ours. I need for you to do us a favor. Today's been a tough day. I need you to figure out. You know what? Sometimes I tell you what, when I'm having a bad day, maybe this is just capitalism. Maybe this is just tricking the consumer. I'm not sure what it is. But if I'm having a bad day, sometimes I just decide, you know what? I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to go either. Most of the time, I just get ice cream because it's cheap. And it also makes me feel better. But besides that, what you could do is you say, you know what? I'm going to go watch these guys. I want to see these guys do the little things right in person. I want to see all the fundamentals being had. In fact, you know what? Gather up your Little League team. Take them down to Great American and show them how to play the game of baseball, everybody, okay? And what you can do is you can get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time if you use the code CINCY, that is Cincy. It's not on my shirt. I thought it was. CINCY. That is Cincy. Use the code. You get $20 off your first purchase. In the Game Time app, it's legit. You've heard us talk about it time and time and time again. But we appreciate you supporting us. And if you have not already, download the Game Time app and use the code Cincy. And we would appreciate that. Stuart Fairchild, you were asking, hey, who to put on the rundown? What do we do? What do we talk about? What's funny is we kind of just talked about a whole plethora of things there for quite some time. How long we want to go into Stu, I don't really mind, but I just want to tell you this. He has earned his keep. He has earned his keep. You know why? Because there's certain times you look the part. You look like you belong. And I'm going to tell you right now, Stuart Fairchild looks like he belongs as at least, at minimum, a bench player, a guy that can come off the bench and steal a bag. But more importantly, if they bring in a left-hander to face Benson, to face Fraley, to even, they're not going to pinch at Elly De La Cruz because they're too prideful, but to face somebody that ultimately is not a good matchup for a left-handed pitcher, Stuart Fairchild is the man for that. And he is more than capable of being on a World Series team. That's a fact. And Stuart Fairchild deserves his flowers, and I'm going to continue to give them to him.
Yeah, he's played well, and the Reds really need him, especially against left-handed pitching. It's a pretty rough bottom of the order against lefties. So he's got his role. He's doing well. I think defensively he's looked really good since was it opening day or was it the second game? It was whatever earlier in the year. He had that one game where made a couple questionable plays.
Well, listen, let's go there real fast. Okay, there was a little bit of a miscommunication with Elly on that one play, and then he didn't know how many outs there were. I can't excuse that, but that seems to be par for the course for the club right now. Nobody really knows, baseball a whole lot. No one knows where to back up. No one knows you don't make the third out at third base when you're down by 5. No one knows how many outs there are. It is what it is. And now, who do you want to blame? Maybe we always defend David Bell, but maybe David Bell. I don't know. You're at the top of the food chain in those situations. So at some point, let's rally the troops up and kind of have a conversation about it. But to be fair to him, listen, you could say this about a lot about this year. If one of his teammates just picked him up, if Elly De La Cruz catches that ball in center field, then again, no one talks about it. If he catches a ball out in the middle of Wrigley Field when they lost 24-2 in a game that probably didn't matter at all, whether he caught the ball or not, no one would talk about him. Stuart Fairchild, you're trying to give him the devil's advocate. Don't give that pessimistic crowd any credit. We're not giving him credit. The kid's good. I'm gonna say it. The kid's good.
Hey, you don't tell me. I believed it for a while. I think he's a useful player, and I'm glad he's on the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah. Chat questions here as we kind of wrap up the show. Usually we're on here for an hour or so tonight. Sometimes when you go out fishing and you realize maybe after a few hours they're not biting, you just decide to pack it up and go home and get dinner. I love you, chat. You aren't the problem. It's just what I had to watch for the last 3 hours. It was disgusting, and there's only so much one can talk about it before they get sick. Listen, there's people that are frustrated with Hunter, people that are frustrated with Espinal. I know people are frustrated in the chat tonight. There's no doubt about it. We got Mr. Juan out here. I think Juan's trolling. He's been an OG chat. He's saying the bullpen's the number one problem. They're not giving up a run in like 6 games. So he has to be trolling, right, Nick?
Yeah, I guess shout out for trolling because I didn't mention Buck Farmer threw a scoreless inning. Buck Farmer got a 2.70 ERA. So you like to see that. Brett Suter, another 2 scoreless innings. And I said it before, but his ability to throw multiple innings, I really love that for this team. I really love that you can count on him to do that, something that was really missing last year. And that stuff matters because you can't, I don't think the Reds would have thrown a position player down 7-2, but you can't do that anymore. That's not legal. So, for him to be able to go 2 instead of only going 1, that's one more reliever that's saved for tomorrow. And that's just a really, really, I think, a good thing to see. But I do have one thing, Trace, before we get to any other questions. I want to shout out Jackson Crow. Tonight we're doing these shows, and you're like, yeah, does anyone really want to actually talk about the Reds? Jackson shouted us out on Twitter. Love watching this show every night. Put a screenshot of him watching. So shout out to you, Jackson. You lifted my spirits like Elly De La Cruz has been lifting the Red spirits over the last week, and I'm feeling good. Hey, we're going to go on a run now, and I feel it all because of you, Jackson.
There you go. Hey, I mean, listen, you never know. We're one day away from us being all the way back, as we know. That's how this show goes from time to time. I know Steve's in the chat, and maybe this just shouldn't trigger me, but Steve, and I love Steve. Steve's been around for a long time, but he's saying the standards are low around here. Stu's not very good. I mean, what do you want this dude to do, man? What do you want this bastard to do? He robbed a home run last night. What's he hitting, Nick? What's he hitting?
304.
He's hitting 304. He stole a bag the other night, a very meaningful bag. What's his WAR? Let's get into sabermetrics. Well, he's probably like I'm just saying, what is he this year's WAR? Is he third best player on the team? Fourth best player on the team? It probably goes Spencer Steer, Elly De La Cruz, Stuart Fairchild. That's my guess. Can you pull that up? I mean, that's asking a lot out of you in real time, I know, but I'm just wondering, man. I'm wondering. That reminds me of like the really wealthy kid at the amusement park. It's like no matter what that poor bastard's parents do for that rich kid, he's never happy. It's like, the cotton candy's not cotton enough. The root beer's not beery enough. The ride isn't high enough. It's like, what in the absolute hell are we doing around here? I get that we're frustrated. I get we're pissed off. I understand that Hunter Green, for lack of a better term, was piss poor tonight. I understand that we just watched a guy that we paid $20 million to get thrown out at third base by 7 feet when there was 2 outs in the inning, and we were down by 5 runs, and Elly De La Cruz was coming to the plate, and he could have made it a 2-run game. And what did he do? He hit a home run the very next at bat. Of course those things are pissed off. You should be pissed. But Stuart Fairchild continues to get this wrath of unrational hate around here, and I'm just wondering why we want to keep picking on the one kid when the rest of the class is the one that actually sucks ass. That's all. I mean, could you imagine if Stuart Fairchild was making $20 million a year, hitting a $125 with a slugging percentage of a $175? No, instead he's hitting 305s. He's ripping balls from Caleb 513 out there in the moon sun deck or whatever the hell they decide to call it, and we want to get on his ass. I digress.
Did you still want the leaders in WAR?
Yeah, who is it?
Spencer Steer. He's at a full win above replacement. This is the baseball reference version.
So he's number 1.
Number 2 is Elly De La Cruz at
point 2 for 2.
Probably will go up too because he had a homer today. It doesn't calculate till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Frankie Montas, number 3, a half win.
Damn.
Tied with Hunter Green.
Not a position player, by the way.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Gotta skip him. Will Benson next at 0.4. Stuart Fairchild tied with Will Benson at 0.4. Then you have Jonathan.
So he's
India
tied
at
for number
23.
third. Tied for number third on the position players.
Yeah, playing part-time.
And you know, yeah, exactly, playing part-time. And you know what I'll also add about that? And this is more than fair to everyone that wants to keep doing this to Stu. If you think Stu is below average and or is terrible, then you know what? Let's just call it what it is. You don't think this team's very good. Like, you think this team sucks. And that's okay, too, if that's how you feel. But I don't feel that way.
Bring back Henry Ramos, am I right?
Right. Let's just you know, what's funny is I heard today, obviously, Reed the few things that Reed does well during the baseball season. He brought up the starting lineup at this date last year. We had Vossler playing first base. We had Henry Ramos, I think, was maybe DHing, or Jason Vossler was DHing. They had those three guys in the lineup. Kevin Newman was in the lineup, and I think Jose Barrera was our starting shortstop. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We could go back to that. Golly, I can't believe we were thinking about doing a show after every single game with that fucking team. Excuse my language.
You got
Seriously. You got them?
Oh, I need to log into the.
Okay, I can get them. I got them.
I'll get the most recent one. Curtis Reed says Ricky Fowler, $2 just to put Ricky Fowler in there. That is money well spent.
Thank you.
That's his very first super chat.
That is. That's my brother. Hopefully he's figuring himself out down in school. Michael Rolfe, 10 for fun. Just join. Love everyone. Michael Rolfe, man. Thank you. He's just him and Big C, boy. They got a hitting streak going that they just not want to end it. Big C said he's funding Kirby's video delay situation. The funny thing about that is I don't know what he did, but he magically came back from the box score recap and it was synced up. I don't know. It was just somehow.
I refresh it. I legit don't know what to do. I upgraded the internet as far as you can upgrade it. I got an Ethernet plugged in.
Yeah.
It's tough times around here. I restarted the computer last night. I mean, I pulled all the stops out.
Yeah.
Alex points out, it's been a day for Chatterbox Sports and some language, man.
Listen, this is late night television. This is 11:20. Okay. Nick's gonna have to unfortunately probably go in there and do some buffing out, which I don't know. He might want to leave that rant in there because that'd be the only thing worth talking about tomorrow. I mean, good God, I don't know what. If you're listening to Reds podcast tomorrow, which we hope all of you do, I don't know if you're a sick bastard, and or you didn't watch the game. That's one of two things. Michael Rolfe here really quickly said, I was putting in new baseboards. He's a handyman, Michael Rolfe is. When I saw the score, my words were not appropriate for a kid's show, but I had to jump on to ask, Trace, when the hell am I going to the Reds game with you boys? We're gonna wait until we can figure out the weather situation and after Little League season, Michael. That's when we're gonna go. I promise you. You got to trust me on this, right? You got to trust me on this one. Just like we're trusting. I was gonna say David Bell, but that wouldn't be a good one. Ned Flanders, he says, is it crazy to think that we might just walk Yelich rather than let him beat us? I don't know, Ned. Let's just keep firing him in there. I don't know. Ned Flanders with the super bomb, though. What a super chat that was. It's a fair point, Ned. I mean, I don't know. He's not due anymore, at least you think, right? I mean, statistically speaking, he's probably not going to hit another home run. You wouldn't think. The good news is Adames, he's not figured it. I don't want to jinx it. Yeah, I'm not going to jinx it. Not going to jinx it.
3 for 3, 3 bops.
Yeah.
Put one up in the boat tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Elly's going to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Adames breaks somebody's glasses on the riverboat.
Let's do some reverse the other way. Candelaro, he's got no chance of getting a hit tomorrow.
That's right. No, he's terrible.
Nick Martinez, he's toast. He's washed. What a bad signing.
Ryan is coming in with some positivity with the super chat saying it's still early. Reds will be all right. Candy and CS will heat up soon. Yeah, I mean, hey, I think that's what that guy that started the Fire Fest was saying too. Don't worry, guys. We got it in the bag. We'll figure it out.
What fest was that?
Isn't the Fire Festival?
I thought it was Fry.
Is it Fry? Fry? Is it Fry, Chat? I thought it was Fyre.
Fry, right?
Well, I mean, fire sounds better than fry. I feel like it's fire. I think people are saying it's fire. All right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Well,
All right.
no,
Well,
okay,
I mean, I didn't want to give those guys too much credit because I thought that maybe they were thinking outside the box and they were thinking Fire Festival. It's spelled a little bit different, but they were thinking fire, the fire emoji. But then you said fry, and I was thinking that might be a more appropriately termed because that's about how that damn thing went. It was basically fried from the get-go. So here we are. We love you, chat. This chat is absurd. We're trying to end the show. We said it's 30. I looked at the chat. We were at 32 minutes. I was like, all right, we're going to do a 40-minute show. That's what this is going to end up happening. Turn at the chat questions. The next thing you know, bam, here we are. Big C saying he's funding the CBox Reds because I care. Thank you, Big C. All right. Let's do some Reds MILB, Nick.
All right. We got a lot of it today. Louisville, they won 3-2 over Columbus. Levi Jordan hit a game-tying single in the bottom of the ninth, and P.J. Higgins hit a walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th for the Bats. Bats improved to 5-6 on the season. Blake Dunn 0 for 2 with the walk. Mike Ford 2 for 5, had 4 hard-hit balls. Reese Hine 1 for 4 with a double. His double 107 off the bat. Ian Jabot making a rehab appearance. He started in Dayton. Now he moved over to Louisville. Struggled a bit today. 3 hits, 2 earned runs. 17 of his 26 pitches were strikes. Average fastball of 92.7. That's about 2.5 miles down from his normal rate. The Columbus Clippers had 2 balls hit over 104 off Jabot. And also a note, I saw Sam Moll is shut down from his rehab assignment. Tony Santillan, though, he threw another perfect inning with a strikeout. I think a pretty cool stat here. Santillan, he's only allowed 2 runs in 12 1/3 innings between spring training and Triple-A this season. And in his 12 1/3 innings, he has 20 strikeouts and just 2 walks. So Tony Santillan is pitching very well. Chattanooga, they lost 9-4 to Tennessee. They're now 0-4 to start the year. Tyler Callahan, he had a big day, 3 for 4, a triple and a stolen base. Austin Hendrick was 1 for 4. Hunter Parks, really talented pitcher, could throw over 100 miles per hour. Really struggled with his command. He walked 5 as he gave up 3 runs over 3 1/3. And then Andrew Moore, he was part of the return for Luis Castillo. He really struggled. He walked 3 and gave up 5 earned runs, only got 1 batter out. The Dayton Dragons, they got rocked tonight, 11-2 to Cedar Rapids, excuse me. Sal Stewart, 2 for 4. Cam Collier, 1 for 4. Hector Rodriguez, he's off to a great start, 3 for 4. He's hitting 500 OPS over 1,400 through his first 5 games of the season. One unfortunate note, Jay Allen was looking really good to start the season, put on the 7-day IL with knee inflammation. Just poor Jay Allen just has not been able to stay healthy in his young career. And then Low A, the Daytona Tortugas, they lost 5-4 to Palm Beach. They fall to 2-3 on the season. Alfredo Duno, 1 for 4. That's he's not technically ranked the top prospect. Ricardo Cabrera's number 9. Duno's number 10, but I think most people are a little more excited about Duno. He's hitting 214, 675 OPS through his first 4 games. Carlos Sanchez, he was 2 for 4. And then Adnier Laureano, really talented pitcher. He gave up 1 run over an inning, struck out 2. That's your Reds MILB.
I always do this. I always find something during this that I love the question to, and I think it's a very good question. And then inevitably, I lose the name, but I do remember the question. Chris, actually, I found it. Chris Rigatti asks, since it's coming up next anyways, is there anyone in the farm that could help contribute? And I hate to say this, but my answer is not really. I don't believe that there is. I do think that the guys that are here are probably the best guys available. CES, Mike Ford is going to be the biggest discussion moving forward if CES doesn't kind of turn it around per se. But I think CES is young enough. I don't want to give up on CES, not totally, but when I say I don't want to give up, I'm not talking about the long term. I'm talking about right now too. Like I'm talking about the fact that it feels like CES could break out, have a 2-week stretch over the next 2 weeks, and the next thing you know, his OPS is one of the highest on the team. The sample size that we're dealing with right now is so small that it's hard to make really crazy takes and claims, because I even seen something the other I think it was our friend Obscure Red. He said after opening day, Jason Vossler's stats, Nick Martinez's stats, or not Nick Martini's stats, the exact same. So he's basically trying to point to the fact that Martini's leash might be pretty short. And it's like, listen, I mean, how many at-bats are we talking with Martini here? I don't know. And Martini had a hit taken away from him the other day. He's hit a couple balls hard. That's the thing about CES that I do want to give him a little bit of credit for, that I don't know if I can say about Jameer. He's hit the ball really hard. And I don't want to get into too much stuff, but like the launch angle's not there right now for whatever reason. He's hitting a lot of ground balls, Nick. But I'd rather a guy hit the ball hard than have a ton of weak contact, and that be maybe the reason for them not playing well. So I'm not all in on Mike Ford replacing CES anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the other guys that you would consider, a guy like Reese Hines would maybe be the one guy, and Blake Dunn, both really talented outfielders, both right-handed bats. If you're looking for another bat to get in against a lefty, which would be, I think, be what the Reds need. Unfortunately, both those guys are off to really bad starts for Louisville. You think Elly De La Cruz strikes out a lot. I would encourage you to go to MILB.TV and watch some Reese Hines at-bats. And you think this team's really bad defensively. Well, I'll tell you, Reese Hines had 4 errors in 2 games over the weekend. So, I mean, there's a lot of pitchers down there that could help. There's plenty of arms, like, Carson Spires came up. I know he didn't throw the ball incredible, but he gave the Reds several innings yesterday. Obviously, there's Tony Santillan. Casey Legamitas looked pretty good so far. The Reds also have a guy, Yasver Zuleta, throws over 100 miles an hour to this climbing off waivers. So there's a pitching depth for sure, but offensively, that there's just really not a whole lot. And I have a hard time. I liked Mike Ford. I loved the signing. I kind of was hoping they were going to put him on the team, but I'm not taking away at-bats from Christian Encarnacion Strand to give to Mike Ford. That's not good for his development, and I don't really think it's better for the Reds, personally.
I completely agree. And you know what I'll say, too? I will admit that maybe if you want to convince me that maybe Martini struggles for a little bit longer and Ford's smashing baseballs down in Louisville, maybe you kind of convince yourself that he could become a little bit more of a slot-in DH guy that can come off the bench and provide some power. But I'm not just straight swapping him out with CES almost under any circumstance, unless it gets really, really bad. Then at that point, maybe you can convince me otherwise. But the Reds, believe it or not, they're going to attempt to try to play some better baseball tomorrow. And the good news is that it probably, I'd like to think it can't get much worse. But who, what, when, where, and why, Nick?
Yeah, Reds going up against the Brewers. Like to get out of town, finish off this homestand with at least a series split. Nick Martinez will be taking the ball for the Reds, making his 3rd start. Felt like the first 2 starts, Trace, was good at times, just had a couple innings that kind of got away from him, I think in the 4th and 5th inning in both of his starts. He's got a career 4.96 ERA in 4 games, 2 starts against the Brewers. Gary Sanchez, the only Brewer that has taken him deep. He might actually be in the lineup since it is, I think Contreras has been in every game so far this series. Could be wrong on that. But going up against Freddie Peralta, making his 3rd start of the season. Peralta's last start against the Mariners, he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. He's got a career 2.88 ERA in 19 games against the Reds, 2.85 ERA in 9 games at Great American Ballpark. But you know what, Trace? When I see numbers like that, it means he's due. He's due for an absolute clunker tomorrow. He's due for maybe Elly De La Cruz just to continue this torching. And you know what? You know what he's really due for?
What?
he's due for a guy that smoked the ball to dead center field, 397 feet, 106 off the bat, and just didn't. Was so close. I think he's due for Christian Encarnacion Strand to have a big day tomorrow. So let's manifest it.
Maybe Jamir Candelario could kind of squeak out a seeing eye single too.
I wasn't going to go too far, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Just roll over a baseball and maybe the guy will. I'll tell a quick story really fast here as we head off into the sunset here on Chatterbox Reds. And by sunset, I mean if you live maybe in California. There was a time where I was playing a baseball game and there was a pop-up and I was at third base. And I just kind of like slowly walked off the line. And the first baseman kind of jogged over there to maybe 3 or 4 steps to his left, which is in foul territory. And I kind of didn't run back to tag because inevitably the first baseman was every bit of maybe call it 97 feet away from home plate. I didn't think that tagging was probably in the cards. And my coach looked at me with a dead serious face and he said, Trace, what could you do on a foul ball other than tag up? I said, I guess, but how am I supposed to tag up? He said, you never know. He might sprain his ankle and break his leg, and then you can run home. I said, well, you got a point. So anything is possible, he said. Maybe that's the same case for Jamir tomorrow. Maybe, just maybe, he can find a way to get a base hit. And then for once in our lifetime, we're actually going to hit on a big free agent signing that plays a position. If I get another Mike Moustakas, I'm done, Nick. Just gonna let you know.
We got some more super chats. Big C, where's Lodolo? Lodolo is scheduled to start on Saturday, I believe. I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's Saturday.
By the way, you said Sam Mole got hurt.
He was returned from his rehab, but that didn't surprise you. I mentioned several times his velocity was down like 3 miles per hour. Down in he was with Chattanooga, I think. No, he was with Louisville last. So yeah, he did get returned. So
Masters starts tomorrow. There's that. You're not much of a Masters guy, it doesn't appear.
I got a lot of bets in though, so I'll be a Masters guy. Let's go.
There you go.
I'm a boost guy. You know
that you are.
Michael Rolfe, question to end the show.
Yeah.
Start, sit, bench for the next 3 years. This is a fun question. Marte, CES, or McLean? Accounting for injuries and PEDs. I'm hoping there's no more PEDs.
That makes it hard.
You want to go first?
Yeah,
you're gonna be mad at me.
Yours is going to be opposite of mine. Go ahead. You do it.
I'm starting Marte. I'm going full heel. I'm hoping he comes back with the Fernando Tatis vengeance. I was high on him out of those guys, the highest before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to let my emotion get in the way of that. Although I do think, as much criticism as we've given, not we, but as Reds fans have given Elly De La Cruz and Hunter Green, I don't know how in the hell it's not more directed at him. Like that, he should be front and center if you want to be criticizing anyone. But I digress. I would have a number one. This is tough. I think I'm going CES just because I don't trust Matt McLain to stay healthy. Matt McLain's clearly a more valuable player than CES because of the defense.
Yeah.
But do I trust he's going to stay healthy? He was hurt a lot in the minors too. This isn't, something that just creeped up out of nowhere.
All right. So the 3 things are start,
sit, and bench. So I guess you just rank them 1, 2, 3 kind of type thing.
Well, sit and bench. Michael, with all due respect, you'll have to talk me through that one when we sit together. Sit and bench. Yeah, those usually are the same thing. But I'm going to say I'm going to start Marte. I'm going to sit or play. How about play? Extend. How about this? I'm going to extend Marte. I'm going to play. Oh, man. If he gets hurt one more time, I'm going to look like an idiot. But I am going to play McLean. I love Matt McLean. God, I love Matt McLean. Just can't be healthy. What the hell? And then I'm going to sit CES, I guess. So there's my answer. Final answer, by the way.
Did we get to Daniel Myers? I hate the Brewers.
No, but if he hates the Brewers, then he's welcome in here.
Yeah, shout out to you, Daniel Myers. I think we got everyone else. I think I found how I can actually see this live during the show, so I think I'm going to have this
Even
up
better
live going forward. It only took about what is this, game 12? So
what's the Daniel Myers? Is that an emoji? What is that thing? It's an object. It says an object, but it doesn't appear. Interesting.
Maybe he did it on a phone, and it's
I think
an emoji
so.
that doesn't
Yeah,
go through to our
That's
computers.
clearly what it probably is. So, all right, folks. There'll be better days. You ever heard that song? I've seen better days. I've seen better days. You know what I'm talking about.
Now keep going. I mean, it's late night.
I don't know the rest. We've got ourselves in a position where I hope you join us tomorrow. We'll be what time are we planning to go live, Nick?
3:30.
All right. We'll be live right around 3:30 tomorrow. We'll hopefully be dunking basketballs and throwing Nick Cage pillows, but if not, we'll still be here. Just want to let you all know that there's this many people in the chat this late is absurdly ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You're all appreciated. It means the world to us. I thought about, not showing up tonight, if we're being honest, in the 6th inning. I thought I was just going to no-show it, similar to maybe some would say the Reds. But you know what? I'm a man of my word. We're going to do them after every game. We're going to try to do them after every game. God willing, of course. If I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to know 2 things. 1, I'm going to watch the Reds. 2, I'm going to love the Reds. No matter what happens, we all love them. I don't know why we got dealt this hand in our life, but we got it dealt. We got to play it the best we can. We'll see you tomorrow. We love you. I just want to say one last time, go rank, give us a review. Listen to the podcast tomorrow to make us feel good. Go Reds.